Carla Wallace of Melville, Saskatchewan. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save On Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns in this game, you could win $1 million. Let's get you to IG Field and join Rod Smith and Glenn Suter.
All right, Kate, thank you. We welcome you to a cold, blustery afternoon here in Winnipeg. The first Western Final in this city since 1972. Also the latest game in the calendar since the CFL was officially formed in '58. The Bombers, the Roughriders, for the right to meet the Ticats in Hamilton in Grey Cup 108.
Let's take a look at the 2 quarterbacks on the marquee. For Saskatchewan, it's Cody Fajardo, got his first playoff win last week in the semi against the Calgary Stampeders. Played well in the West Final against Winnipeg. Didn't score touchdowns. He's going to have to not settle for field goals this afternoon if he wants to upset the Bombers. Zach Collaros has done nothing but win since joining Winnipeg as their starter. He's 11-2 this season, including 2 wins versus Saskatchewan and 3-1 in playoff action.
In 2019, Mike O'Shea's Bombers finished 3rd in the West. They had to be road warriors to get to the Cup. This year, they wrapped up first place so early, they haven't had a meaningful game in 6 weeks, but he doesn't expect any rust on the blue and gold. Greg Dickinson's Riders coming off that dramatic overtime win over Calgary last week. He knows this will be a bigger challenge, feeling his team has to start quickly and stay in it heading into the 4th quarter to have a chance against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Have been the best team in the regular season. They are the defending champions. The Roughriders won the toss. They've deferred. Winnipeg wants the ball. Janarian Grant is back to get it. The Ticats won the East. Who will join them in the Grey Cup? Brett Lother gets the 2021 Western Final underway. Heading down to Grant at the 10. Janarian Grant finds some room around the corner. Has a good return going up to the 40 of Winnipeg. A 30-yard return for Grant.
Game day decision for Coach Michael O'Shea as to whether or not Andrew Harris was going to be ready and able to not only start this game, but hopefully in the mind of Bombers and their fans and that head coach in O'Shea that he can finish it as well. So a last-second decision, but Andrew Harris will get the start for the Bombers.
Missed a few games at the start of the season with a calf injury and then suffered a knee injury October the 15th against Edmonton. Hasn't played since. Still racked up over 600 yards rushing. He's in the backfield. Andrew Harris has the ball and picks up some good yardage, close to 5 yards on that first down for Winnipeg.
Mentioned the win-loss record for Zach Collaros as a starter here in Winnipeg. It is quite impressive. There's his numbers this season, 11-2, but that's official because he did start one of the games in the final 2 games of the year. Didn't play the entire game, just a quarter. So essentially he was 12-1 this season.
This is his 3rd division final, 2014 with Hamilton, and of course last year with the Bombers in Saskatchewan. And his first throw is complete to Darvin Adams, and a first down across midfield for the Bombers.
Darvin Adams rested the last game of the regular season. Should be as healthy as he's been all year for this final, and he is wide open on this opening drive on the sideline.
Spotted the ball just near the 52 of Saskatchewan on this first possession of the 2021 Western Final in Winnipeg. 4 receivers out to the left. Collaros looking over the middle, and he completes this one. That is Kenny Lawler, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League. Let's meet that Bombers offense, brought to you by Expedia Suits.
Well, here's some plain talk. There's 4 players in this game that are going to probably decide the outcome. Stanley Bryant and Jamarcus Hardrick trying to go up against Jonathan Woodard and A.C. Leonard up front. Andrew Harris brings so much more than his yardage, both running the ball and receiving. Brings great leadership to that huddle.
On the first down again, big hole, Andrew Harris. Another good carry for Harris to get this game started for the Grey Cup MVP of 2019.
You could just hear the energy in the building when Andrew Harris walked walked on the field with the flag because nobody was sure if he was going to start, but look at the hole he gets. Stanley Bryant right in front and center, opening up a run lane for Harris.
4 members of the 5 in that Winnipeg offensive line named Western All-Stars. Harris picks up 10 down to the 30 and a first down Winnipeg. Good drive going to get this Western Final started. So off the fake, Calero's looking to throw, and he is taken down by Keon Adams. So a big defensive stop there, and a flag comes out afterwards as the tempers start to flare between these two sides.
Keon Adams also a late add to the roster for this game, for this final. A little more depth in the front 7.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan, 15-yard penalty, first down.
What a blow to the Riders after that play that cost Winnipeg about 10 yards on the sack by Adams.
I'm not sure what the call was. I really didn't see. There's the hit, and that's clean. And it looked like Lanier came up after the fact and just headbutted right there Zach Collaros. That cost him 15 yards and a new set of downs for the Bombers.
What a turning point in this drive for Winnipeg. Continues with a first down from the Saskatchewan 23 after the penalty. And a look into the end zone. Oh, it's intercepted by Ed Gainey. What looked like a touchdown for the Bombers turns into the first turnover of this young ball game. Nick Dembski, the intended receiver, looked like he had a touchdown, but instead it falls out of Dembski's hands into the hands of Ed Gainey, who had 2 picks last week. A big one for the Riders.
Nick Dembski did some damage against Saskatchewan in Game 2 in the regular season and is wide open on this throw, but he can't catch it cleanly and then tips it up to Ed Gainey. This is just instinctual. The receiver's just trying to keep it alive when he doesn't get the handle initially, and he tips it right to Gainey.
So it's Saskatchewan ball after what could have been a Bomber touchdown. And off to the right for Duke Williams, who was a late decision on whether or not he was going to play because of turf toe.
Well, here are the other 4 guys that are going to be key to winning or losing this game in the West Final. It will be Andrew Lauderdale at 1 tackle and Brett Boyko at the other. And the mission that you've been asked to take on here, Mr. Boyko and Lauderdale, is to control Jackson Jeffcoat and Willie Jefferson. There's Duke Williams. He was a last-minute decision as to whether or not he can go. He starts today.
So with the completion, it's up to the Saskatchewan 29. The pressure is coming. Willie Jefferson has it. You called it. The Bomber heat defensively. And a little slide to boot.
Well, the offensive tackles for both offensive lines have got the pressure on them in this one this afternoon, and it's Willie Jefferson. We know all about Jefferson and his ability to get after the quarterback. The bookends are tough to stop. I don't think you can stop them. What you can do is control them. Go tight end, bring in some blocking help, get the backs to chip.
Oh, pressure on the kick by Corey Vedvik. They got part of it. So another big play here and a no yards called as well. It'll tack on yardage heading towards Saskatchewan's end.
Is that Mike Miller causing problems?
Mike O'Shea loves his special teams play. Jesse Briggs comes in and gets enough of it. Bombers are in great shape with the ball. And on this cold and blustery day in Winnipeg, we get the story from field level with Sarah Orleski.
Oh, it must be so nice and warm up there, Rod. It certainly isn't down here. Now, I don't think actually I have the thermometer, my trusty friend, during all West playoff games, but I don't think it's quite accurate right now. When you take a look at it, minus 9 degrees Celsius. It is the wind chill, though, that is causing issues down here, as well as a strong wind. Now, this wind is supposed to continue to increase as this game goes on. Probably 40 kilometers winds. They're saying gusts up to 60 kilometers. So could be a significant storyline we know that the field was starting to get icy as the temperature was dropping. We'll see how it plays out as this game continues.
Hey, Sarah, we're feeling some of the cold here, but we're under shelter suits. Not as tough as you, so brave those elements as they get colder here. Starting around -9, but we've heard will get colder as the day goes on. And it's Winnipeg football in business again. Dembski had the drop for the touchdown, keeps his feet and keeps on driving. Nick Dembski still on the move.
Wow, how about that? That's four extra yards the hard way. And Buck Pierce, the offensive coordinator for the Bombers, going back to Nick Dembski after he tips one up to Ed Gainey. They don't score when he was wide open and the throw was outstanding. The play caller goes right back to 10 and he drives the pile for 5 yards.
Did he ever? All that yardage afterwards, getting it down to the Saskatchewan 10, a gain of 11 yards. And we'll call it 1st and goal here. Winnipeg denied a touchdown the last time they had the ball. Andrew Harris tries the left side, but there's a brigade of green and white. If you look at that Rider defense in this Western Final.
Yeah, well, here's the two bookends. The guy who led the league, Jonathan Woodard, on one side, and A.C. Leonard, who 11 sacks on the season, on the other. So again, the pressure on the offensive tackles in this game for both teams. Two newcomers in the linebacking core, Nigel Harris and Eli Buka, will start at linebacker. And Ed Gainey already has a pick here this afternoon and had 2 in the semifinal, as you mentioned, Rod.
And that one looming so large right now suits just a few moments ago, the Gainey pick, when it looked like it was a Winnipeg touchdown, but they're threatening again. A loss of a yard on the Harris run. A look down near the end zone for Drew Wolotarski. He coughs up the ball. Eli Buka has it and has a big return. Another turnover for the Riders, and Buka threatening to go all the way as he picks up a block. Oh my goodness, Eli Buka finally pushed out of bounds deep in Winnipeg territory. Twice the Bombers have threatened to reach the end zone, and twice they've been denied. First the pick, now the Wolotarski fumble.
Well, let's take another look. All turnovers are automatically reviewed just to make sure Wolotarski wasn't down by contact. There's the first contact from the inside. Does he go down? No, it looks like that ball is out. One more look just to get another angle. Was the knee down before the ball was stripped? Lucas Purifoy gets the strip. One hopper. And Buka with the return. The Bombers, as you know, Rod, heavy favorites coming in. Many of the experts saying in order for Saskatchewan to stay close, they're going to have to generate some turnovers and win the turnover battle. They've got 2 already in their own end zone.
And with that turnover that time, a 94-yard return, Buka. And it's 1st and 10 Riders inside the 20. They're at the Winnipeg 17. Cody Fajardo off to Keane Schaefer-Baker. And good yardage picked up by Keane Schaefer-Baker. It's like a first down. It'll be 1st and goal after that gain of 16.
You got to be a different guy, man. You got to have a different level of toughness to come out here, play wide receiver, Keane Schaefer-Baker, and not have sleeves. He's out there bare arm going around the edge and getting down to the 2-yard line.
The Riders, in 2 games this year, did not score a touchdown against Winnipeg. They also failed to score a touchdown in the West Final last year. William Powell, touchdown Riders. Finally for the green and white. And this is the start they need against a heavily favored team.
Well, there is no question, and that's what all the experts have said all week long, because the Bombers, heavy favorites in this game, that Saskatchewan would need to turn the ball over and get some breaks early. Well, I would suggest the first one was a break, the tip from Nick Dembski. The second, Saskatchewan defense earned it when they stripped, forced fumble Wolotarski that turns into 7. Well, possibly 7.
Craig Dickinson said we have to start quickly. You talked about it. They have to win the turnover battle. 2 big turnovers. Brett Lothar putting it through, and it is is a 7-0 lead for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Bombers must be in a state of shock the way this quarter has gone so far. They'll get the ball back. William Powell takes it in for Saskatchewan.
Two early turnovers for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers down in scoring range. The first one, Nick Dembski. You call this one a good break for Saskatchewan. Ed Gainey in the right place at the right time on the pick in the end zone. But this is an earned turnover. This is a forced fumble created by Luches Purifoy, picked up by Eli Bucco, who takes it all the way down into scoring range, and William Powell puts Saskatchewan on the board to start this game.
Among the many categories, and I mean many, that Winnipeg has led in this 2021 season, turnover ratio is one of them. But they're down -2 right now. Two very costly turnovers that has Saskatchewan leading this game by 7. Janarian Grant on that return, and Zach Collaros in the Bomber offense, which has been doing well with the exception of those mistakes, are back on the field.
We always wonder if the weather conditions in a game are going to even the playing field for a heavily favored team against an underdog. And I would say that both teams have to deal with the weather, but the weather conditions does increase the chance that it's going to be a wild, crazy game when it comes to ball control.
So here we go, possession 3. Andrew Harris again. More room, more good running. Harris, that offensive line opening big holes, and Harris getting up near a first down. Yes, about a gain of 10 yards again for Winnipeg.
You mentioned the giveaway takeaway ratio for the Bombers through the regular season, a +18. That led the league. I mean, they just do not turn the ball over very often, and they create them on defense. They're at the wrong end of that right now early in this one. The way to settle it down, back to the ground game, and Andrew Harris.
Harris, 4 carries, 24 yards now, and that went for a first down Winnipeg. So they're down 7, but they should be encouraged at their ability to move the football. They have been. And keeping it on the ground again, left side, and a shorter game that time for Nick Dembski.
Yeah, the weather conditions just increase the probability of crazy things happening. Drop balls, fumbles, cause fumbles. You got to take that extra second to concentrate, wrap the ball up, make sure you have control of it. I believe the Bombers reminded all their ball carriers on the sideline in the break.
So it is second down now after a 4-yard gain up near midfield. Collaros to pass. Has time. Rolls out. Pump fake. And finally does get it away. It's complete. Rasheed Bailey with his first catch of this Western Final. He gets it down to the Saskatchewan 30, and the Bombers in business again after a gain of 27.
Both these quarterbacks are running quarterbacks, but in different ways. Zach Collaros will run to throw. He's great at avoiding the rush, managing the pocket, getting outside, and throwing on the run. He will create off a broken play as good or better than any quarterback in the league. Fajardo's different. He looks to run the football and move the chains with his legs. Zach Collaros is looking to throw it on the run.
Winnipeg on the move again at the Rider 30, trailing by 7. Quick throw over the middle to Dembski. Another catch, another first down.
That second game in the regular season, Nick Dembski was targeted 5 times, had 5 catches, caught all of them for 134 yards, including a 54-yarder. So against Saskatchewan, for whatever reason, his former team, Nick Dembski plays his best game. That was his best game of the regular season.
And I'll tell you, since the drop, the times he's touched the football, the determination, you can almost see the anger after what happened. He's been very tough to take down. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan 16. Andrew Harris, not much doing, but he still spins and picks up a few more yards and gets it down closer to the 10.
He checks for his aiming point just before receiving the ball. Then he will press the line of scrimmage and move towards it, finding the hole he wants to hit, and when he hits it, he explodes. If there's no hole, he's got one of the best spin moves in the game to get out of trouble.
Looked like they had him at the line of scrimmage. He gets 5 yards on that play. One of the many reasons they're glad to have 33 back in the lineup for this critical game. Trying to get back to the Grey Cup. 2nd and 5. They're down 7. First down. Still driving for the touchdown. What a play, Rasheed Bailey. Talk about second effort. Rasheed Bailey, and the Bombers have answered right back.
Looks like that was in. Again, all touchdowns reviewed. Rasheed Bailey crossed the line, crossed the plane before his knee touched.
So Sergio Castillo, a late addition at kicker, a trade with BC for his rights to make it a tie game. Castillo does. No problem at all with the Bomber offense. They just had trouble finding the end zone. Rasheed Bailey makes sure they do this time. Tie game.
Andrew Harris a factor even when he doesn't have the ball. You don't see Rasheed Bailey. He's at the left of your screen. But watch Andrew Harris set a pick for Dion Lacey. Lacey's got to be in the hole here to try and stop this crossing route. He's not there because Andrew Harris sets the pick. Bailey underneath. Nice balance to beat the tackle of Dion Lacey and get across the goal line. Kind of like the best team in the league went to the bench and said, okay, stop messing around. Let's get in there.
Going.
Yeah.
Rasheed Bailey, remember he had a touchdown called back in the Grey Cup in 2019, and he got his first CFL touchdown back in week 2 against Toronto. Was almost in tears, very emotional about it. And I'm sure very emotional with that too, because that touchdown by Bailey and for a 6-play, 71-yard drive has led to a tie game in Saskatchewan football. Jamal Morrow on the return and gets it up to the Saskatchewan 30. Morrow, who had a punt return touchdown last week. So back comes Cody Fajardo. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders quickly striking after the return by Buka. Put them deep in Winnipeg territory, and now that offense has to go to work again.
Yeah, that play made by Kean Schaefer-Baker. Get him down on the goal line. William Powell finished that drive.
Fajardo is 2 for 2 for 20 yards. Handing off to William Powell. And he drives his way across the 35 and up around the 37. You look at the Winnipeg defense.
Yeah, dynamic duel up front. Jackson Jeffcoat led the way this year, led in forced fumbles, tackles for losses, and sacks for that defense. Adam Bighill, finalist for Outstanding Defensive Player. And in the back end, Brandon Alexander. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play in this West Final, but he's good to go and out there.
Gain of 5. Fajardo with the option to toss to Powell, and he is taken down shy of the 40. Jonathan Conbo is in there, and they don't have enough for the first down. It'll be 3rd and short.
Now, we talked to Craig Dickinson before this game, and he said, you know, against this Bomber team, heavily favored Bomber team, the best team in the CFL during the regular season, we may do some things that are a little bit outside of the box thinking and a little more aggressive than normal. Like go for it on 3rd down in your own end.
Like they're doing right now in the first quarter, just inside the 40. This is a 3rd and 2.
Well, they may be trying to draw him offside first, but he did mention they may think outside the box and be a little more aggressive when they get their opportunities. He was a little more specific down inside the 10-yard line and not in his own end, so we'll see if they go through with this 3rd down gamble.
This is a surprise if they do, or is it just to draw them offside? They're going, and it looks like they're getting it. Looks like they had just enough with William Powell, a gutsy call by Craig Dickinson. And you're right, Suits, saying he was going to try something like this, and it pays off.
Yeah, and the guys love it when you think this way as a coach. Doesn't always work for you, and sometimes it'll backfire, but the key here is William Powell, and his second effort because he's hit at the line of scrimmage. It's Winnipeg ball without the second effort from 29.
They needed two. They just got it. It's a first down across the 40. 7-7 tie. Late in the first quarter. Powell again. Left side. And a blue and gold wall is there after not much doing as Brandon Alexander taking a late rip at the football.
You can tell the footing is starting to get a little bit tough for the players when William Powell is sort of chopping his steps before he makes that cut to the outside. These running backs can cut on a dime. They're going to have to be a little more patient.
Under a minute to go until quarter time. What an interesting quarter it's been. Two big turnovers, keeping the Riders in it and actually going ahead for a while. Now it's tied. Pressure's on Fajardo. Gets it away. Is caught. Nick Roberts, and are they going to rule it a catch? They say no catch for Paul McRoberts. Standing near the sideline.
Yeah, I don't think he's sure. I'm not sure if he is quite convinced that he made the catch. We'll take another look and take a look if he had his feet in bounds. All you need is one. Looked like the left foot was touching the white stripe when the ball hit his hands. Here's another look at it. Yeah, his left foot is out of bounds.
Just barely, which would have been a first down for the Riders instead. Corey Vedvik had his last punt partially blocked by Jesse Briggs. Bombers were bringing the heat on this chilly day in Winnipeg. Vedvik took over from John Ryan after he got hurt in October. Low snap, gets it away for Janarian Grant inside the 35 and picks up a couple of yards only on that return. Winnipeg's offense settling down after those turnovers, driving down for the Rasheed Bailey touchdown, and now a very productive offense so far in this game is taking the field again.
Well, they've led in so many categories through the regular season on offense. Most importantly, points per game. 26 points per game. Number one in the CFL.
It's true, and that defense gets so much credit, and rightfully so. You forget that the offense has had such a brilliant year, too. Toss inside for Dembski, and A.C. Leonard had that wrapped up on that first down, which should be the final play of the first quarter. And what a quarter it has been. Looked like a touchdown for Winnipeg, an interception. Looked like another touchdown, a fumble that led to a Rider touchdown. And then the Bombers answered back, and we've got a 7-7 tie. Through one quarter of this Western Final, Winnipeg has the better numbers, but Glenn, they've also turned it over twice, and that's why we have a 7-7 tie.
Yeah, down in Saskatchewan's end zone on one interception by Ed Gainey, and then the fumble return by Eli Buka. So the underdog needed some breaks and got him in that first quarter. And, you know, Andrew Harris, a last-minute decision by Michael O'Shea, already contributed in a big way, almost 30 yards rushing in the first quarter for him. But we saw what he did on the pass game when he picked for Rasheed Bailey, got him in the end zone.
And for Winnipeg, as discouraging as it would be with those turnovers, they still have to be encouraged by the way they've been able to move the football so far in this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the best team in the league that has got it back and settled down and got their run game going. They want to establish the line of scrimmage. That's how they've approached every game this year.
So a 2nd and 9 to start the second quarter, and a deep ball. Nick Marshall has it. Another turnover for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. On that 2nd and 9, Caleros aired it out, and the drive stalls again. Marshall.
Well, Nick Marshall read the book here. I mean, this is great pre-game scouting. He's up in press coverage. He's step for step down the sideline. The ball underthrown, not on the outside shoulder for Lawler, and Nick Marshall's in better position. high points the ball. Make sure he blocks out the receiver, doesn't let him get through him to the football, and another turnover for Saskatchewan.
Rider football after 37 now. Cody Fajardo taking the handoff, quickly dumping it off to Jamal Morrow. Breaks a tackle and gets a whole lot more. Morrow down about the 50 of Winnipeg, and the biggest play offensively, a gain of 23 for the Roughriders.
How about Jamal Morrow's Western semifinal and what he contributed to that win in double overtime versus the Calgary Stampeders? He was 2 returns for touchdowns. One was called back, one wasn't. Huge in field position on the teams. Jamal Morrow contributed last week.
Great returner. Get him in space offensively. He can do some damage. We saw it there. In the Winnipeg 50. Powell finds some room. Riders on the move, and they're trying to strip that ball on a day like today, especially as he's finally taken down for a gain of 8.
Well, based on the field position, or field conditions, I should say, William Powell makes a real sweet cut here. He's going to take this deep handoff, and look at that break to the outside. No hole at the point of attack, so he finds his own hole, and then the Bomber defense collectively trying to rip it out of his hands and aren't able to do it.
Turnovers have been the biggest story really in this game so far. Winnipeg has turned it over 3 times. Saskatchewan has it in Bomber territory, a 2nd and 2 from the 42 in a tie game. Short yardage, Powell again, trying to find his way, and he does. Looks like he has just enough with furthest advancement there for the first down. We'll see where they spot the football.
Now William Powell's running with some confidence out here, and that's the 2nd time on short yardage that he's done it on his own, because it was that final 2nd effort that got him there.
It's been a day for 2nd effort so far in both of these teams. The yardage picked up after contact. The determination inside the Winnipeg 40. A 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. This is coming off the Marshall interception. Casey Sales with a flag coming out, had him. Fajardo gets away. And Cody Fajardo takes off Alden Darby there to finally take him down, see what the flag's about in the Rider backfield.
Yeah, it's in the area of holding offense. And the offense moving backwards.
Holding Saskatchewan number 64. 10-yard penalty. Will replay 1st down.
They got the right guard, Evan Johnson, on the hold, so that pushes the Riders back to the Winnipeg 50.
He's down here at the bottom of your screen, number 64. You'll see him step out. U of S Huskies, congratulations to Western, Vanier Cup champions. Huskies finished 2nd in that one.
Yeah, Western won it, but they've had a few great Vanier Cup matchups in the past. Evan Johnson went there, but he's called for the hold, so it's 1st and 20 now, Fajardo. With Willie Jefferson in his face, he chucks it up, and a flag comes out for pass interference. It's intended for Jake Hardy. It's like Kyrie Wilson is called for the interference. The Will linebacker on the coverage on Hardy.
Now this is a linebacker.
Defensive pass interference. Winnipeg number 19. The ball will be placed at where the foul occurred. 1st down.
This is a linebacker deep in coverage. Not used to trying to play the ball down there. Gets his hand up in the face of the target, Jake Hardy.
That's a 38-yard penalty. It gets Saskatchewan to the Winnipeg 11. Looks like something was bobbled between Fajardo and Powell as Fajardo just hung on to the ball and gets it back inside the 10.
Now.
Go back and take another look at the PI. Early contact, and then Kyrie Wilson just basically could have been called for screening there as well with the right hand, but clearly early contact before the ball arrives. That was a pretty easy call by the official in the correct one. Again, a offense for the Bombers, just not used to coverage that far downfield.
It's a 2nd and 8 after a 2-yard gain by Fajardo. The Riders pressing to take the lead again. Passing to the left. Schaefer-Baker hit right after he caught it. And not much of a gain for Kean Schaefer-Baker.
Now, does Craig Dickinson... This is the area on the field where it was going to be game situational, though, and the score on the scoreboard was going to be a big part of those decisions as to whether or not he might think outside of the box and go away from sort of conventional wisdom, which would be obviously take the points here. Now, he's going to go for the field goal, take the points in this case, but he said don't be surprised if down inside the 10 on 3rd down, I might just go for it.
But instead, with a chance to take the lead again, Brett Lawton from 16. And up and through it goes. The Riders, the underdogs on this day, have their 2nd lead with that field goal, 10-7. Zach Calero's trying to do something that hasn't been done in Winnipeg since the legendary Kenny Plain. Back-to-back Grey Cup titles. First, they have to get there. And they're down in this Western Final by 3. Rise up, Canada. The biggest party of the year is going down next Sunday in Hamilton. Don't miss the 108th Grey Cup as the Hamilton Tiger Cats will take on one of these 2 teams and battle for the biggest prize of all. Plus, Hamilton born and bred rock group Arkells take the stage. The Arkells for the Twisted Tea halftime show. Action beginning 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific next Sunday on TSN.
Congratulations to Coach Steinauer and that entire organization. Going to be playing the Grey Cup at home. How good is that?
First down, Winnipeg. Another good carry for Andrew Harris. Back in the lineup, coming out of that knee injury, and does not look any worse for wear as they started at the 35.
Man, he wants the rock, doesn't he? I mean, just watch what he does, not only when he runs off to the left side of the offensive line here. That's where Stanley Bryant lines up, by the way, and after he runs and gets tackled, he wants to keep running. Just give him the football.
So a great block by Drew Desjardins, one of the Western All-Stars, and that great offensive line for Winnipeg. Gain of 9. Andrew Harris up to 38 yards, carrying it a 2nd and 1. On that short yardage, Sean McGuire, the backup quarterback, who's used to these situations, trying to pick up that 1 yard. Did not get very much at all.
Yeah, this is going to be a little closer than I think. Now, I'm sure Coach O'Shea, being just, even if he doesn't get it, being an inch or 2 away here would go for it. But they're going to bring him in. That's the decision of the official. Go ahead and measure this. That's how close it is. You mentioned the offensive line, though, Rod, and you talked about the 4 of 5 being CFL All-Stars. Of course, Stanley Bryant, a finalist for Outstanding Lineman in the league. The Player Awards, I think they're just short by an inch. Likely go for it on 3rd down here. Yeah, they'll leave Sean McGuire out there, but I have to feel for Michael Couture. I get it, and I'm not taking anything away from Sean McEwen, who won it for the Calgary Stampeders, was the all-star center. But this offensive line's been the best O-line in the league all year, and the center is the guy that makes it tick. I mean, he makes all the calls. He's the guy who talks about the protections, make sure everybody knows where they're going, and by the way, has to get the football to his quarterback.
An offensive line that's given up the fewest sacks in the league. McGuire with a flag coming out has enough for the first down, just needed a few inches. So
yeah, fewest sacks and 2nd in the league to Montreal rushing the ball. I mean, William Stanback led the league, but they were 2nd behind the Alouettes in rushing. So, again,
offside. Defensive line of Saskatchewan, 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Not taking anything away from Sean McEwen. He had a great season, but I decided if you're going to give it to 4 of them, probably should have been all 5.
Now, there are other teams in the West, notably the opposition today, that take note of the 15 Western All-Stars selected by Winnipeg. Only 2 for Saskatchewan. I'm sure Craig Dickinson was talking about that before the game.
Yeah, he was. In fact, he told us, he said, don't think I'm not going to bring that up in the locker room before we get out there. We only had 2 All-Stars. They had 15. How do you feel about that? One of their All-Stars right in the middle in Micah Johnson.
Handing Harris. 2 yards for Harris on that play.
And unfortunate for Micah Tights, who's the outstanding Canadian nominee, not able to play in this West Final, was hurt in the semis. So Nigel Harris will play for him, and Eli Buka, also a newcomer in there, will move. He's played safety. They can bring Luchez Purifoy down as well. Lacey will be in the middle. He was in the middle for the semi. And then Nigel Harris gets really his first start at that linebacker spot for Micah Tights.
And Buka missed much of the season with injury, but came back in a nothing game in Hamilton a couple of weeks ago, had a couple of interceptions, and I'm sure for him, just good game experience to get ready for this now. Starting in this playoff game, Collaros throwing complete. Kenny Lawler in traffic, and a good catch by Lawler for a first down, Winnipeg.
This is going to be fun to watch, this matchup. This is Kenny Lawler one-on-one with Nick Marshall. And remember, early on, Nick Marshall had the interception with great inside position. Now, he almost runs this route as well. He was right on that curl, but Lawler wins the fight this time. 1-1 between 89 and number 3.
The leading receiver in the CFL, the only one to go over 1,000 yards, Kenny Lawler.
They are right down there.
There they are again, but running the football is Winnipeg, and why not? Andrew Harris. Not going to be able to limit him every time. There's 9 more yards for 33.
It seems like they get a new set of downs. Andrew Harris rips off about an 8-yarder, and then they get a new set of downs, and the Saskatchewan defense limits the next one. But that was a run where Harris got into the secondary. It was Ed Gainey making first contact.
The running total, literally, 8 carries for 49 yards for Andrew Harris. And we're barely halfway through the second quarter. It is a second and short, so Zach Collaros getting a little breather. A little drink of water for Sean McGuire, the short yardage specialist, who had 8 rushing touchdowns in this situation during the regular season. Does it again for the first down, getting more than they needed. They're about 2 feet shy. So the sticks move again for Winnipeg.
It's a big series, though, because, the longer that this game stays close, the advantage starts to shift to the underdog. You get into the fourth quarter, and it's a one-possession game. The Bombers expected to win, and not only win, but lots saying they should win big against Saskatchewan. If the Riders can keep it close heading into the fourth.
Saskatchewan's 10 points have all come on turnovers. Taking the handoff. Some heat's coming as Collaros gets it away. It's intercepted again. Nigel Harris with it. The 4th turnover committed by the Blue Bombers in this first half. His first start. Harris, the linebacker for the Riders, says thank you very much from Collaros there. Saskatchewan leads by 3, and they've got the football again. Before this game, the Blue Bombers honored their legendary radio voice, Bob Irving, inducting him into the Ring of Honor. Glenn, Bob Irving calling Bombers games on radio at CJOB since 1974.
Yeah, let's put it into perspective just how long ago that was. Pierre Trudeau was our prime minister. The #1 movie was Blazing Saddles, which would probably never be made today. The #1 song was The Way We Were from Barbra Streisand, and Apple hadn't even launched its first computer yet in 1974. It was 2 years later.
And this is his final game as the radio voice of the Bombers. So honor, congratulations on just a remarkable career, Bob Irving. Cody Fajardo, after the turnover, under 5 minutes to go until halftime. But
yeah, and I'd just like to, listen to all the people that have been involved with this league, players, coaches. One thing about Bob Irving is he's always been a great patriot for the game of football in our country. And I talked to him earlier today, and he said, I will always be cheering for this game. It's sincere passion that he's had from start to finish.
And believe it or not, it's his final game and the first time he gets to call a Western Final at home. He started in 74, the last one was 72. Cody Fajardo for Paul
the semifinal, late in the fourth quarter, gets Saskatchewan the win. They've been telling us all year he's got great hands and he catches everything. Well, that's what we've seen in a game and a half.
It's up at the 46 now. First and 10 Riders. Still with a 3-point lead. Turnover's the story. Quick shovel to Braden Lennius, his first touch in this game. And he gets it up near midfield. Another good pickup on first down for Saskatchewan.
Jason Moss is a play caller for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course, former head coach, and prefers to be down there on the sideline, close to the action, able to talk directly with Cody Fajardo every time he comes off.
Gain of 7, Lennius. 2nd and 3, up at their 52. Fajardo with time. To his left, he had a wide-open receiver, McRoberts, but he overthrew him.
Yeah, that's on Cody. And he knows it. That one sailed on him a little bit. I'm not sure if the wind helped it, but just a little bit high and outside. Too far for Paul McRoberts to get there, but he has the time. He buys some time by shuffling to his left, and he has McRoberts open. Shaq Evans had pulled 2 in the coverage. Deep.
And so Janarian Grant is back near the 15. Corey Vedvik,
who didn't play against Saskatchewan in either game in the regular season. The cover team don't know him very well.
And he can be a game breaker, but won't get much of a chance here. It's a short punt on the hop that Vedvik got rid of. And so a 26-yarder only for Vedvik. Just around the Bomber 30. A scenario not many envision. It's getting late in the half. Winnipeg's trailing. They have the ball.
10-7 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The score all of us predicted before the game, by the way. Coming up at the half, we will speak about Andrew Harris, Saski's D so far, and of course, all those turnovers. We'll see you then.
And Kate, I know at upstage, James Duthie's science experiment. We'll hear more of that at the half, too. But the water in my bottle is starting to freeze, Suits.
Yeah.
It's getting colder.
And we're not exposed to the wind like they are. I could feel the temperature dropping.
I can hear Sarah Orlesky saying, "Toughen up, boys."
Yeah, exactly.
Braving it out down on the field. The Bombers and the Riders and Caleros on a 1st and 10. Winnipeg, they're 29, and a good job up front by Saskatchewan's defense there on Harris, who's had a very good first half. Jonathan Woodard in on that tackle.
Well, both Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffcoat, both the All-Stars out of the West, but lots of discussion as to why Jonathan Woodard, who led the league in sacks, and A.C. Leonard weren't named, although how do you not pick Jeffcoat and Jefferson? I mean,
that's so hard.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
4 great defensive ends this season. And the Bombers had them both for Western All-Stars. A.C. Leonard getting some pressure, and Caleros, who just gets it away. Andrew Harris, who takes a big hit from Micah Johnson, but it pushes him in the right direction for Winnipeg.
Tough running again from Andrew Harris. And he's the safety valve here. He's the dump pass. Get it out there if you're in trouble. And Caleros gets in trouble. He's got to throw it around the rush and just dump it off to his back, who does the rest.
So a gain of 9, and we're in another one of those Sean McGuire situations now. 3rd and less than a yard as Caleros comes off. McGuire comes on, and they'll go for it on 3rd and short.
And Micah Johnson's taking a knee.
Johnson, who knocked Harris down on that last play, slow to get up right now. One of the 2 Western All-Stars for Saskatchewan. We'll be back. There's always something new on Crave. Don't miss exclusive shows and the latest hit movies streaming this December. New plans starting as low as $9.99 per month on Crave. Back in Winnipeg, it's a 3rd and less than a yard inside the Bomber 40. They're going for it. Micah Johnson. Saskatchewan would love to have him on this key play. He seems okay, but of course has to go off. So here we go. Already 4 turnovers going against Winnipeg. 3rd, less than 1. Sean McGuire didn't need much, and it looks like he does have it. it, inching up close to the 40 as Zach Collaros heads back on the field.
Yeah, the field conditions mean that the worry for Michael O'Shea there is that McGuire slips and doesn't get a good push on a third down gamble in your own end. But defensively, because of the snow on the field, you almost have to give more than a yard to make sure you don't line up offside.
1:55 on the clock. Saskatchewan leads the Western Final by 3 over Winnipeg, 10-7. Andrew Harris busts one up the middle. Harris does it again. First down and more.
Drew Desjardins, Stanley Bryant just block down, and let Andrew Harris find his own hole. He presses the line of scrimmage and then explodes through the hole. The backside of the Saskatchewan defense on these runs have got to tighten up. They've got to come down and crash down hard because there's a backside run lane on those Andrew Harris carries.
Gain of 14, Harris. He has the ball again. He gets across midfield. They're in Rider territory now with 1:23 to go until halftime.
Again, why wouldn't Buck Pierce attack with the run game when you've got the changeover in the linebacking core? Dion Lacey is returning. He played in the semifinal. But with Buka and Nigel Harris back there, newcomers, go ahead and test that core and see how they do against the run.
2nd and 5 more yards for Andrew Harris. He is 68 in this first half alone. From the Saskatchewan 53, Bombers trailing by 3. Collaros with time over the middle, complete to Nick Dembski right around the first down mark.
So versatile. University of Manitoba graduate Nick Dembski.
And that is another first down for Dembski, who did have the drop and what looked like the first Bomber touchdown. Has that reception. As Winnipeg is on the move. Play fake to Harris. Throwing to the right. That's completed. Down to the 30 and inside. It's Rasheed Bailey who coughs up the ball. Awaiting a ruling here as they go to sort it out.
Well, they're talking about it.
Is this another turnover? Dion Lacey has the ball. The officials still haven't given the signal.
And the signal on the field is so important because whichever way it goes, in replay you have to find
Ruling
evidence.
on the field is the ball carrier fumbled the ball prior to being down with contact, and Saskatchewan recovered the football. It will be Saskatchewan first down.
This really is incredible for a team that has been so good at protecting the ball. This is the 5th turnover Winnipeg has allowed in this half.
Well, it's out, and clearly from that look, Rasheed Bailey, it's out, and again, that's stripped. We talked about the young coup. There's Luchez Purifoy. Now, it's not stripped by Purifoy. He's first contact and is pulling down Bailey, and here comes Buka. Watch the left hand. He punches it out. Getting his first start at that linebacker spot. The tweener, as we used to call it. And Buka's made a couple plays tonight.
They've been ball hawks. Purifoy forced the fumble before, and Wolotarski that Buka picked up took 94 yards and set up Saskatchewan's touchdown. But the Riders very much in this game. They lead it thanks in large part to a 5-0 difference in turnovers. They benefit from another. Willie Jefferson quick off the ball. Right up the middle as Fajardo was sliding. Brandon Alexander came in, and the heat is really on here. Tempers flaring. A flag is down. The Riders feeling Alexander came in, hitting a vulnerable quarterback as he was sliding.
Well, listen, it's a penalty, and it's going to be called on Brandon Alexander. And I get that Cody Fajardo's teammates are trying to protect him in this scrum, but you don't want more penalties after the fact. But I don't think there's any question there's going to be an unnecessary roughness penalty on Alexander.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 37. 15-yard penalty and a first down.
You know, and the fans obviously here don't like it, but when you take a look at this replay, he's right in the middle of your screen. And yes, the timing is close on when Cody Fajardo goes down, but he leads with his elbow to the head of a vulnerable player going feet first. That's going to be called every time. There's no question. Look at the elbow come up right to the chin of Fajardo.
Fajardo looking for the call right away. They got it with the penalty. Up to their 51. 33 seconds on the clock. The Riders with a chance to add to their lead. They can pick up a couple of first downs. Under pressure, drop the ball, heads down. And so they lose yardage on that play.
As a world champion, I prepare to win. I still do today. Every game starts at bet99.net.
Fajardo goes down, a loss of 6 yards on that play, pushing the Saskatchewan back to just outside their 45 and 24 seconds and counting left until halftime. Roberts, and he's taken down nicely by the boundary corner, Winston Rose, back at the original line of scrimmage. It'll be third down.
Well, listen, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will go in at halftime here, and they're going to be looking at each other and saying, hey, just keep playing hard. Just keep leaving it on the field. We've got the best team in the league on the ropes going into the second half. The Bombers, on the other hand, they're going to go in and say, guys, settle down. Settle down. We're all taking our turns, letting the ball loose. Just secure the football, do our thing, and we'll climb back into it.
Final play of the half, barring penalty. And it is incomplete, intended there for McRoberts. And that should be halftime. And what an interesting half. The Riders needed the quick start. They needed to win the turnover battle. Have they ever? Winnipeg turns it over 5 times, and the Bombers, heavily favored, trail at the half by 3. Let's send it down to James Duthie.
All right, thank you very much, Rod. With the coach, Jim Barker. Mike O'Shea said yesterday that the first thing he tells his team before every game, control the ball, win the turnover battle. And they did it all year long. As Glenn was talking about, plus 18, minus 5. Credit the Riders, but how shocking is this to you?
Totally shocking. This is not a team that has put the ball on the ground at all. Fumbles, interceptions, the first interception to Dembski was kind of a fluke. This one is a great defensive play by Luchez Purifoy. Buka picks it up, takes it down, puts it into scoring position. A poor throw by Zach. Again, he doesn't do that a lot. Here he gets a little bit of pressure. And again, you wonder, there's one of those, where is he throwing it? And then, again, Rasheed Bailey he's been money all year. This is just rare. Now, they have over 200 yards, 220 yards of offense, right, in comparison to 75 for Saskatchewan. They have to get themselves back on track and stay patient. The one touchdown drive came after the first 2 turnovers, and it was impressive. They ran the ball, they threw the ball. They did a little bit of everything, which is what they need to do. They can't panic. Obviously, running the ball, they've had great success.
In a line, what should each coach say to his team at the half, starting with O'Shea?
O'Shea has to tell his guys, continue to do what we're doing, but you have to hold on to the ball, and we cannot take penalties. Don't get involved in this penalty thing.
And Dickinson.
Craig's going to say, listen, fellas, we can play so much better. We can do so much better. This defense continue to strip the ball. They don't know how to hold it in the cold weather. That's what he's going going to say to them, and, we'll see if they buy in.
And it's only getting colder. The temperature continues to plummet. If you were with us in the pregame, we did our little science experiment where we poured you a glass of water. Halftime in the Peg with Saskatchewan leading, Kate.
Great news. It's so warm in the studio. So warm and tasty this delicious. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Andrew Harris. So coming into the game, Milt, we did not know if he was going to be playing or not. He looks perfectly fine. And as we keep yelling at the television, run the ball.
Yeah, you talk about Andrew Harris. He hadn't played since, I think, October the 15th. And coming into this week, he was a question mark. Well, the way he looks right now, they just need to keep feeding it. Because in this first half, offensively, they turned the ball over. Zach with turnovers, the receivers fumbling the ball, dropping the ball. But Andrew Harris has been consistent. 11 carries, 68 yards, 6.2 yards a carry. So if it's 2nd and 5, what should they do, Kate?
Run the ball.
2nd and 15, what should they do?
Run the ball.
2nd and 30, what should they do?
I don't care. Run the ball.
Run the ball. Andrew Harris is their best weapon. And I know it starts with the boys, the offensive line.
Yep.
They're opening up holes. Get Andrew Harris the ball more because offensively, they're just turning the ball over too much. They're down 10-7, but they're allowing Saskatchewan to stay in the game offensively.
Man, what are you always preaching this time of year? Bad weather, backs.
CWB.
Right?
CWB.
Andrew Harris has proven, so is William Powell. You know, what we're seeing here with Zach Collaros and turnovers, you heard Coach talk about it. I'll talk about it a little bit more. You have to go back to October 13th, 2018, when Zach Collaros was playing for the Riders, and he threw multiple interceptions in that game. The last time he did that, he's got 3 in this football game, but I credit Saskatchewan Roughriders for a lot of those. I know you're going to get to that in a little bit later, Chaz, but I just think that, hey, these conditions, we talked about it off the top, guys. These conditions level the playing field, and we thought that it would benefit Saskatchewan Roughriders. In the first half, we saw that. These guys, these are not any huckleberries coming in from Regina. These guys know how to play in the cold weather, and they get it done. And they've been getting it done right here in the first half, and they can play a lot better themselves. Cody Fajardo, he's only got 65 yards passed in the first half. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about Zach Collaros either in the turnovers. These football teams are battling out some nasty conditions, and whoever hangs on the football is going to win this football game.
Cody must have known something we didn't know. Asked Cody what the keys to the game were early in the week. I think our Sarah Orleski asked him, and he didn't say the offensive line protecting him. He didn't say the running game, running the ball. He said our defense. Well, his defense made some plays during the first quarter. I think they did a really good job, Jason Shaver's defensive coordinator, of giving Zach some different looks. It's not like they shut them down, let's be honest. They had some success Winnipeg did offensively, but they give them some looks that, like right here, this is a combo coverage. I went back and took a look. These two halfbacks watched them. They let the two guys go jam and back off. That's a zone. I think Zach believes this is too high, and that safety's not going to get there. But Nick Marshall actually turns and runs with him because he's in man coverage. The two corners played man. The inside guys and everyone else play zone. At least made him uncertain. On that play right there, just good pressure from the big fella, Micah Johnson. So, look, are they shutting them down? No, they're not. I think Winnipeg, if they clean it up, they would be ahead in this game. Right. But let's give credit to those Riders defensively, give enough of some tough looks, so at least they can create some turnovers, and that's why they're ahead in this game.
Winnipeg needs to come out this second half and establish that they're the best team. Because if you allow a team like Saskatchewan to come out and say, okay, we're in this game and we have an opportunity to win, that's when that confidence starts building up. So Winnipeg needs to come out this second half and say, okay, we're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and this is what we're going to do.
Go back to the Eastern Final. We watched it just a little bit a while ago. 12-0 at the half. Hamilton set their jaw and shut them out in the second half, basically. It's pretty nicely done. Winnipeg's got that opportunity.
In the first game, the favorite, or maybe not the favorite, but a lot of people thought Ham was the favorite. They came back second half and overcame in the first half. You expect the same from Winnipeg in the second half?
We'll see.
We're going to find out. Hamilton already through to the 108th Grey Cup. Who will join them? The Riders, currently up by 3. We'll hear from Simone Lawrence after the break.
Nice.
The Bombers, the Roughriders, for the right to meet the Ticats in Hamilton into the end zone. Oh, it's intercepted by Ed Gainey. He coughs up the ball. Eli Buka has it and has a big return. William Powell, touchdown Riders. First down, still driving for the touchdown. It's intercepted again.
The 108th Grey Cup is coming to Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. Tickets are on sale now. Visit ticketmaster.ca/Grey Cup to purchase and join in on the excitement.
And we won't know one team that will be at the Grey Cup next weekend in Hamilton, and that will be the Hamilton Tiger Cats after they defeated the Toronto Argos 27-19 this afternoon. Dane Evans coming in for Jeremiah Masoli was 16 for 16, 249 yards and 1 touchdown. After this one, here was our Matthew Shinetti with Simone Lawrence.
So, Simone, about 20 seconds ago, you were saying keep your composure. It's hard not to do that when you're going to the Grey Cup at home in Hamilton. Simone, I know what your journey has been over the last 6-7 years, the Grey Cup losses, the disappointments. What does this win mean, knowing what could happen next week?
This means everything, you know. We set a goal that the Grey Cup was in Hamilton, and we wasn't going to let nobody sit in our lockers, especially nobody in Toronto sit in our lockers. And, you know, we handled business. Our fans came out and showed out. Like, look at this, you know. Like, we were getting them excited. Like, this is Hamilton football, and Hamilton showed up and, you know, did Toronto dirty.
Well, I'll let you go celebrate with those fans very quickly, but I want to ask you about that second half. What did it show about your team, knowing that they weren't able to go ahead and capitalize on some of those drives that they had, but that you guys came out and responded immediately, especially Poppy White?
Coach Orlando prepared us for this early, you know. He showed clips of us being down and coming back all week, you know what I mean? Because that's just part of the game. We knew the ebb and flow of the game would be crazy and wild, and all we had to do was keep our composure. You know, it started snowing, and then we just knew what time it was. You know, we was outside in the snow all week. Some teams didn't go in the snow, you know what I mean?
So, Simone, you know Barton Street and Ottawa Street and Locke Street and everything in downtown Hamilton. Do you think the city is ready for the Grey Cup next week?
We've been ready for the Grey Cup. Keep bringing it to Hamilton, too. Let's go, Hamilton. I appreciate you. Hey, Toronto, y'all did a great job. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Simone and the Tiger Cats into the Grey Cup, but who will join them? The Riders of the Bombers. Saskatchewan currently up 10-7. Second half action coming up next.
Buy dirt, find the one you can't live without. Get a ring, let your knee hit the ground. Do what you love, but call it work. And throw a little money in the plate at church. Send your prayers up and your roots down.
Take a look at your first half stats, Matt Dunnigan.
Yeah, you look at it, Kate. 5 turnovers, not Winnipeg-like. Only time they did that was when a meaningless game towards the end of this football season when Sean McGuire was quarterbacking. Only one that matters is the score up top there, 10-7. Can they turn around, take care of the football? Or is Saskatchewan going to find a way to score in the second half and shut out Winnipeg? Could happen.
It could. Here is our Sarah Orlesky with Ed Gainey.
Ed, you told me going into this game you guys wanted that fast start. As a defense, you certainly got it in that first half, created 5 turnovers. Describe for me the opening 2 quarters from your perspective.
You know, when you come into an environment like this, it's kind of bullets flying everywhere. It was a kind of a hectic first half for us. We know coming in here we're going to have to start fast and play fast and finish fast. So, I mean, I feel like we're off to a good start. We just got to keep capitalizing on all the turnovers and keep fighting. Are you feeling as if tempers are starting to flare out there? Yeah, it's blood in the water. It's blood in the water for sure. And, you know, hopefully we can keep it to a minimum, so we won't get any penalties, stupid penalties. So, yeah, man, it's definitely bad blood in the water, and it's gonna be a fight to the finish. Thanks so much, Ed. Appreciate it.
All right, the Saskatchewan Roughriders currently up 10-7. They are a half away from the Grey Cup. Back to IG Field after this.
What you're made of and how bad you are when the stakes are high and the lights are on you and the weight of the world's on your back. Do you dig your boots on in? Lying under pressure in overtime. Felt strong enough to hold the line in the final round. Are you backing down or finding out what you're made of?
Halftime of the Western Final, and the Bombers are trailing Saskatchewan 10-7 after turning the ball over 5 times. But Andrew Harris has been running wild. Here he is with Sarah Orlesky.
Amazing.
Good. How's the knee?
Feel great.
Okay, great. When you look at that first half, I mean, the 5 turnovers, but the fact that this group is only down by 3, is that encouraging going into the second half?
Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot over and over there. I mean, look at the time of possession, you look at the yardage, we just got to finish holding to the ball.
For you, 68 yards on the ground, how much do you put on your shoulders to be able to help this team get to the
Let's get more. Let's get more. I'm ready to rock right now.
Thanks so much.
Let's go.
Confident.
Yeah, he is.
Andrew Harris, you bet. Well, he's certainly running with confidence. And
that's exactly what you expect from Andrew Harris, which is, give me the rock, I'm ready to roll. And he looks like he was running with fresh legs. But over about 50 days since he's been in really practice or any game.
And to see Mike O'Shea smiling there, it was like he was listening to that interview. He wasn't, but the Bombers is still confident, I'm sure, even though they come into the second half trailing by 3. If they could just protect the ball, and hey, Greg Dickinson and the Riders just wanted to keep it close. If they could get to the fourth quarter, keep it close. They start the second half with the lead, and they will get the ball. They had deferred. Jamal Morrow with it. And the big returner for the Riders gets it up across the 25 to about the 28 for Cody Fajardo. He was 7 for 10, 65 yards passing in that first half.
Well, and it's just as cold, but it looks like the snow is stopped and the wind is starting to die a little bit. So maybe the conditions won't be as much of a factor as they were in the first half. Cody Fajardo, you saw his numbers. William Powell was running hard. Doesn't have the numbers that Andrew Harris had in the first half, but got a couple of key first downs.
You saw the flags above the uprights and kind of a swirling wind, but the Riders predominantly have the wind to their backs in this third quarter to start the second half. William Powell wrapped up, taken down. That's Kyrie Wilson on the tackle for Powell, who had just 23 yards rushing in the first half.
Yeah, I mentioned the underrated Bomber. He had a pass interference call early on in an area where he doesn't normally cover a receiver that far down, but he's a run stopper now. He's a pure linebacker, steps right up in there and stops William Powell for a loss.
Of those 5 turnovers, think about this. 2 of them essentially took away Winnipeg touchdowns. It would be a different game, obviously. Saskatchewan trying to take advantage. Fajardo dumps it off brilliantly to Powell. Really gets popped by Brandon Alexander, but he hangs on to the ball, and a great job by Cody Fajardo just as he was getting hit to get rid of it.
Yeah, and close to that line of scrimmage. I mean, he was right flirting with it when he got rid of this and just noticed that Powell was open. Now, Powell got up slow there and was trying to stretch out his hips.
So it's a 1st and 10, the Riders, to start the second half at their 45 now. Dumping it off to Powell again. And another good gain after the catch by Powell, who is close to another first down. Call it a gain of 9 for the Riders at midfield.
Going tempo offense here, Rod, to call the plays on the line of scrimmage.
Picking up here at field.
Maybe the wind isn't dying down.
Official has to hang on to the ball for Dan Clark. Make sure they have it spotted at the right place, just shy of midfield. 2nd down and 1. And yes, indeed, just enough for the first down for Cody Fajardo and the Roughriders.
Cody Fajardo rushed for 89 yards in the semifinal against Calgary, and that was more rushing yards than he's ever had as a starter for Saskatchewan. So don't be surprised in this second half. He does a lot more of just taking off and running with the football.
You talk about overcoming turnovers. He threw 4 picks in that game and led a brilliant drive at the end to actually give them the lead. It ended up going to overtime. Just across midfield on a 1st and 10, taking it to Powell. Over the middle, complete. Braden Lenius with his 2nd catch of this Western Final, and another first down, a gain of 12 for the Roughriders.
Boy, Cody Fajardo holds this play action fake, doesn't he? He hangs on to this. He's trying to pull in that coverage. He wants to get this guy right here, Adam Bighill, to step up just a second so he can open up his receiver on that crossing route.
Riders on the move, now at the Winnipeg 44, starting the half with a 3-point lead. Fajardo throwing off to his right, completing it to Kian Schaefer-Baker. Saskatchewan has a good drive going here. They are inside the Winnipeg 40, down near the 35.
Rookie nominee, Schaefer-Baker, the playmaker, playing with great confidence. His first Western Final, of course, being a rookie.
The product of the University of Guelph. Offensive coordinator Jason Moss has a 2nd and 2 after that 8-yard gain by Schaefer-Baker. Impressive drive to start the second half for the Roughriders. Powell on that 2nd and short, he runs into his own man, and then he pushes again, and he'll be very close to another first down. Just needed the 2 yards.
Still no targets to Shaq Evans in this game as of yet. Cody Fajardo struggling with his star receiver to find that chemistry again throughout the final month of the regular season and into the semifinal. You got to think that at some point the Riders are going to need Shaq Evans to make a play. We'll see what this measurement shows here.
Looks like it is just a few links of the chain, about a football shy. So a third and very short. Shaq Evans, who had been their top receiver in the previous season.
Well, he's been fighting it. He just one catch for -4 yards in the semifinal. But he is too good to be kept down forever. This isn't a gimme, by the way.
Not against that Bomber front. Fajardo does have it there, though. A first down, and this drive will continue for Saskatchewan. The opening drive of this second half.
Well, Dan Clark leads the way up front, one of the favorite players. If you want to pick an O-lineman that you can just follow and watch away from the ball, watch 67 play the game. He led the way on that quarterback sneak.
He's the fixture in that offensive line that has changed so much in the last couple of years. The veteran. The protection is good. The throw from Fajardo to a wide open Duke Williams. Oh my goodness. Fajardo overthrew him. And there was no one within 4 or 5 yards of Williams, down deep in Bomber territory.
Yeah, you don't get them opportunities very often with a wide open receiver right over here. It's going to be Duke Williams that ends up getting there on the wheel route. Fajardo has to throw and bail. He's going to get hit, and he's just throwing it, and then that is where Duke Williams turns a little early, perhaps.
What an opportunity. But missed by the Riders. 2nd and 10, Winnipeg 33. Fajardo under pressure, they knock it loose. Jackson Jeffcoat knocked it loose. Jake Thomas falls on it, and finally a turnover goes the Bombers' way.
Looked like Fajardo almost tried to throw that underhand, but ruled a fumble and a turnover. Jackson Jeffcoat does it again.
Winnipeg still trails big time in the turnover game, but they'll take that to start the second half. Ends the Rider drive. Bombers have the ball, down 3.
Well, he led the team, and in the pregame show, I drew up a couple of examples of Jackson Jeffcoat and how good he has become at this strip sack, going after the quarterback from behind with the big right arm and knocking the ball loose from Cody Fajardo. He led the team in forced fumbles, did it again, turnover, Bombers.
And the Riders were at least in field goal position, so take 3 off the board, you have to think, with that turnover at least. They had an impressive drive going, but back comes Winnipeg, and Andrew Harris wants that ball. You heard him talk to Sarah Orleski, looking very confident. 68 yards in the first half and 7 more there.
Yeah, the backside of the defense for Saskatchewan's got to tighten up. There's a gap on the backside of each one of these runs, and that's where Andrew Harris has been. That's where he's been eating.
wants to eat on this cold day. Western Final, IG Field, the winner to play the Hamilton Tiger Cats next week in Grey Cup 108. Taking the handoff, and it's dropped by the fullback Mike Miller. And that was on a second and just a couple of yards, so he would have had a good shot at picking up the Bomber first down instead. Winnipeg will have to kick it away.
Well, the Saskatchewan defense got a little bit lucky in the fact that Miller dropped it, but they did what they had to do after the turnover, the sudden change. You get your job on defense is to get a 2-0 and end any momentum.
So Mark Leggio stands back the punt, and he can't get it away, and this is another turnover. Trouble punting the ball for the Bombers and Leggio. And just like that, Saskatchewan gets the ball back.
I think he was looking to throw it almost.
Ends up being a turnover on downs. Saskatchewan football in Bomber territory.
Well, we'll take a look and see. It looks like the cover guys for the Bombers were heading down the field to make a tackle, so this wasn't a designed fake where the Bombers trying to trick Saskatchewan on third down. That was just pressure off the edge from Roland Milligan, who forces Leggio to try and run the ball, and he doesn't get there.
So a turnover right back for the Riders. It's 6-1 in turnovers, favoring Saskatchewan. A short gain on first down by William Powell.
Yeah, Stove stepped in there. That's Stephen Richardson in the middle of the defense. Haven't talked about him. Richie Hall's group. Now it's their turn after a turnover to try and get the quick 2-0 and a sudden change, and the Stove gets it started.
Aptly named. Stephen Richardson, second and long, Saskatchewan. Fajardo, just as he was getting hit, gets it off to William Powell, and another great gain by Powell. Fajardo getting it to him just before he was going to be taken down. A gain of 22 yards, and the Riders are back in business.
Adam Bighill on the blitz is picked up, and that gives Cody Fajardo some time. They tried to go, it's just four-man pressure, so actually a stunt with Bighill, but he spins and gets picked up. I believe it was Dan Clark in the middle, giving Cody Fajardo another second.
Ball inside the Bomber 20. Momentum swinging right back Saskatchewan's way. First and 10. Faking to Powell. Fajardo has to eat the ball. Alden Darby coming up on him. He had nowhere to go.
Calgary did a little bit of this with their linebacking core to just spy Fajardo on key downs. Adam Bighill here is not going to rush, nor is he going to drop. He's just spying. If the quarterback runs, he tracks him down. Now, his teammate gets there ahead of him in Alden Darby, but he was spying Fajardo on that play. Don't be surprised we don't see that kind of defense a little bit more as this game goes on.
And that was the fourth sack of Cody Fajardo in this game. Second and 13 after the loss of 3. Riders at least in position to put 3 more on the board, looking for more. Flag comes out and a false start by Saskatchewan.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan number 7. 5-yard penalty. Will replay second down.
Time count violation as announced by the referee Andre Proulx.
Well, there's one for the home team. That's why you fight all season for the West Final.
Get that noise.
You get the break, you get to rest up, you get to self-scout, and you get your home crowd behind you.
That noise really picks up the way the stadium is designed, too, at IG Field. Loud crowd. Second and 18. A deep ball for the end zone for Duke Williams, and Winston Rose is right there. It falls incomplete. And the kicking team will come on for Saskatchewan to see if they can increase their lead by 3.
Yeah, Laidad, former Bomber, All-Star, CFL All-Star from 2019. Laidad to the Bomber secondary. Real interesting story as to how he gets right into the starting lineup, but it was basically Mike Jones and the rest of the defense that said, hey, we got an all-star back, let's start him, and Jones was playing the ultimate team guy.
Brett Lother had the winning field goal in overtime against Calgary last week. Trying to go 2 for 2, but he pushes it wide to his right. Janarian Grant trying to take it out.
Watch this guy. Watch this guy.
For Grant. Oh, he's got a return going, and he's taken down with a great tackle to save what could have been disastrous for the Riders. Lother missed the field goal, and Grant takes it out to the Winnipeg 40.
Buy dirt, find the one you can't live without. Get a ring, let your knee hit the ground. Do what you love, but call it work. And throw a little money in the plate at church. Send your prayers up and your roots straight.
Just when it looked like he was going Saskatchewan's way, a missed 36-yard field goal for Brett Lother, a 58-yard return out of the end zone for Janarian Grant. Glenn, he nearly broke it.
Albert Owachi makes a touchdown-saving tackle, or he may have.
So it's the Bombers, still down 3, and Andrew Harris on the run again. Harris not down until he gets to the Saskatchewan 50. A gain of 21 more yards for Andrew Harris, who's really having himself a day.
Hey, we talk about the O-line blocking all the time, but one of the reasons the run game in Winnipeg is so potent is because their receivers will get their nose dirty. Darvin Adams steps up and makes the key block right on Nigel Harris to get Harris out and around the edge.
He has 96 yards, closing in on 100 here early in the second half. They keep that one on the ground to Nick Dembski on the first down.
These receivers will block, Rod. They have all season, and that's one of the reasons that this receiving core is as good as it is, and the run game is as good as it is Dembski, Darvin Adams, Rasheed Bailey. They don't mind going out there and making the key blocks to spring their running back. Offensive line takes care of the front seven. The road graders do that, and then the receivers will just try and get in front of and get a piece of any DB tries to get involved.
So a gain of 3 for Dembski, 2nd and 7. Play clock just heading down to 0 there as they get it away, and Caleros gets it away. What a catch by Kenny Lawler.
What a catch.
Brilliant.
What a great catch. In these conditions, Rod, that's a great catch by Kenny Lawler. He led the league in receiving yards. It's been a great matchup. This is against the zone, so it's not the matchup that we were watching in the first half against Nick Marshall, but Ed Gainey with the hit, and he still hangs on to the football. What a catch by Lawler.
Gain of 26, down to the Rider, 21. Here come the Bombers, down by 3, momentum back their way. And he is tackled there by Ed Gainey after picking up a few more yards for Winnipeg, getting it down at about the 17.
What cold? There's no cold?
Not feeling the cold now.
The West Final.
Of course, they still have to make this count for something, and they had trouble doing that in the first half. They had no trouble moving the ball. That guy might be a little busy soon. Andrew Harris does have 100 yards even. Caleros gets rid of it to Dembski, who gets it down to the 5, and it'll be a 1st and goal for Winnipeg as the pushing and shoving continues after a gain of 12 for Dembski.
Zach Caleros not only manages the pocket here, but he knifes this in to Dembski because there's not much room. Watch him manage the pocket. Subtle step up to get around that rush from Micah Johnson. Throw around the hand of A.C. Leonard and get it to number 10. And it was a tight window.
Down to the Saskatchewan 5. 1st and goal for Winnipeg. Purifoy's there. A.C. Leonard, too, picks up a couple more yards.
Well, A.C. Leonard is doing exactly on the backside what is said is going to have to be done to stop this, is that's crash that edge. because the backside cutback is where Andrew Harris has been beating him. So AC Leonard crashes down into that backside C-gap and ends that run.
Leonard making that play, but he is still down. The training staff comes on for the Roughriders now, slowly getting up. The sacks leader in the Canadian Football League with 11. And a big tackle there, and Andrew Harris with a 2nd and goal coming up for Winnipeg. Week 13 of the NFL continues tonight with a Sunday Night Football showdown between AFC West rivals the Broncos and the Chiefs. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on CTV2 and TSN Canada's home for the NFL. But we've got a game here in the CFL. We got to find out, Suits, who's going to meet Hamilton in the Grey Cup.
Yeah, that's the big down right here. I mean, this is 2nd and goal on the 3-yard line. Down by 3. A stop here huge for Craig Dickinson's group. Can they get it? And does Buck Pierce want to go run here the way that Andrew Harris has been running the ball, although stopped on 1st down in this series?
The 3-yard line.
Jason Shiver's going to load the gaps. You know that. He's going to make sure that those gaps to the line of scrimmage are taken.
Those Bombers had big goal line stands at the end of the 2019 West Final. Remember that in the final minutes then. But they stopped them. But this Winnipeg team has not led in this Western Final. Surprising from the standpoint of how much they were favored. Can they take the lead on this drive? Harris 3-2-1. Touchdown Bombers. And it's the MVP of the 2019 Grey Cup. Trying to lead his team back in 21.
He doesn't give away where he's going because he lines up directly behind his quarterback, Zach Collaros. So he's right behind him, not giving away any direction pre-snap. And the big boys up front, once again, just give him a little crease if it's possible, because he's got a big, thick core. I mean, this is a guy who can power his way through. He made himself small in the hole on that run and found the end zone.
7 plays, 71 yards in just over 4 minutes. The point after from Sergio Castillo. And for the first time in this Western Final, Winnipeg has the lead.
Sometimes even the 220-pound tailbacks have got to make yourself small in the hole. Drew Desjardins is going to help out. He's going to open things up, but just take a look at 33 here and watch when he gets to the line of scrimmage what I mean by make yourself small in the hole and just kind of squirt through there. Gets down low, get that pad level down just in case any contact arrives. It doesn't. And the Bombers take the lead.
And for a team that has had so many strengths on both sides of the ball this season, Andrew Harris, well, he's been a difference maker too, but Harris, he's only played in half of the season, but you can see the effect that he has on that Bomber running game. And that's no disrespect to Brady Oliveira, who's very good, and Johnny Augustine as well, but you get 33 back in. It just looks like a different team.
Well, we talked to Zach Collaros on Zoom and talked to Mike O'Shea and asked about Andrew Harris, and he said it was a game day decision, but both of them, without being asked, talked about Harris's leadership and how the huddle, just the demeanor in the huddle changes when he's in it.
Castillo to kick it off. Jamal Moore to take it. Up across the 30. And gets to about the 37. As Cody Fajardo leads him back on. What an odyssey these past couple of years. Let's go back to Sarah Orlesky.
Absolutely, Rod. 2019, the crossbar, the hit of the crossbar at the end of the West Final continued to haunt Cody. It's motivated him. 2021, there was no season. And then 2021 as well, to be able to get back to the West Final and on to the Grey Cup. He said that mentally, it would have been so difficult to come back from if he hadn't been able to get that win last week on home field. Now, Craig Dickinson saying that he felt that last week Cody played with a chip on his shoulder, had something to
Sarah, he was asked how long it took to get over the heartbreak of 2019, and he said he still hasn't. As Sarah talked about, still with them, but that was a breakout year for him as the Riders' starting quarterback.
And in the semifinal was responsible for 80% of the offense. 89 yards rushing, and all, of course, the passing yards accumulated against Calgary as well.
The completion to Duke Williams makes it a 2nd and 4 after that 6-yard gain. And he completes that to Duke. And lots of yardage after the catch. Duke Williams still on his feet, heading towards the end zone. And a touchdown, Saskatchewan. Wow! On the last play of the 3rd quarter, the Riders retake the lead. 67 yards, Cody Fajardo to Duke Williams as the big plays keep on coming.
And this will go down, Rod, I think, as the best throw Cody Fajardo has made in the 21 season so far. And we'll see if he's got another one in him, but that's a wide side long throw to the out with Nick Taylor cutting underneath that. He gets it to Duke Williams, and then Duke Williams does the rest.
And that is Saskatchewan's first points against Winnipeg in the second half this year. In those 2 previous games, they were shut out 37-0 in the second half. So the Riders quickly retake the lead. What a game we have to decide who's heading off to the Grey Cup. Cody Fajardo. He finds Duke Williams that time. It leads them to the end zone. And a 17-14 lead through 3 quarters. Back in Winnipeg, here are the numbers through 3 quarters. I got to catch my breath from all the momentum swings again, with the quarter ending with a touchdown pass to Duke Williams.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the 4th quarter. That was maybe the best throw I've seen all year from Cody Fajardo. It really was. That was a wide side out. As you know, Rod, the Canadian Football League field is 65 yards wide. You're on the far hash mark. You got to throw an out to the wide side of the field, get it to Duke in these conditions, and then he turns the corner and does the rest of the heavy lifting. That was a remarkable play, just shy of 70 yards to take the lead. I mean, look at the throw under duress. He's got Willie Jefferson down on his legs. He gets it out to the wide field, and then Duke Williams was a last-minute decision to get into the lineup here from Craig Dickinson because of a turf toe. Makes an unbelievable cutback on Brandon Alexander, and the Riders take the lead.
And they have the lead to start the 4th quarter in the kickoff. Janarian Grant across the 35, and down he goes. Craig Dickinson, we talked to him a couple of days ago. He'd said if we can stay close, if we can head into the 4th quarter, and it's close, and they have the lead right now, we like our chances in this game, and that's exactly what they've done.
Well, pressure shifts to the favorite. It really does. I mean, you start to squeeze the stick, to make a hockey analogy, a little bit tighter. If you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this situation, you're expected to win. You're in front of your home crowd that just got quiet, and now you've got to make the plays to take the lead with the pressure squarely on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now.
3-point lead, Saskatchewan again. And back in the ground. Andrew Harris bouncing off tackles. We've seen this a few times today when it looks like he stopped for 1 or 2, and he turns that into a 7-yard gain and 2nd and short.
Yeah, when you're confident as a tailback, you're patient. You're not worried about slamming into the back of your offensive line and just giving up on the play. He'll be patient on those runs and wait till they develop, knowing the guys up front will get there eventually.
Just across the Winnipeg 45. Back and forth they go. Back to Harris. He gets the first down. He gets more. He gets across midfield.
Plus, I'll tell you what, Rod, it really wears on a defense, especially in conditions like this. I mean, as the panel talked about in the pregame show, getting hit isn't fun at the best of times. But when it's super cold out and you got to keep slamming in there to try and stop 33, it starts to wear on you.
Micah Johnson, the Western All-Star, in the middle there for Saskatchewan's defense as they go to Harris, and this time he can't break free from first contact, as the Riders do have him. That's Pete Robertson, the tackle on Andrew Harris, and just a gain of about a foot.
Yeah, they'll go through that defensive line rotation. Pete Robertson in the semi had a sack, so he contributed in the rotation there. And A.C. Leonard, we saw him go down. He's sitting this one out. I'm not sure. I'll check with Sarah to see if A.C. Leonard is hurt. He doesn't. He looks fine and ready to go.
So a second and long from the Saskatchewan 53. Collaros and the Bombers back trailing by 3 points. Fourth quarter. Airing it out. Over the middle. Darvin Adams. You got to be kidding. Another great catch by a Bomber receiver. That's down to the 25 of Saskatchewan.
And good ball placement from Zach Collaros to anticipate where Darvin Adams will end up and throw him open to that spot. Now Adams does a great job tracking it down, but he's got to throw it to that opening because initially Darvin Adams was covered. So he threw him open, 28-yard gain and a new set of downs.
Down to the Rider 25. Momentum swinging back. Brady Oliveira and running back. They fake to him. Collaros throws that one and completes it to Nick Dembski.
And that was Luchez Purifoy coming on a blitz and recognized by Collaros and dumping it off to beat the blitz. Well, I tell you what, in these kind of conditions, those quarterbacks are making some throws. That was a beauty to Darvin Adams.
And the short yardage team with the backup quarterback Sean McGuire comes in after that gain by Dembski, about 9 yards. First down as this drive will continue. The Bombers have dominated in so many ways, including here at IG Field where they were 7-0 and just 8.9 points allowed per game. And that fourth quarter scoring, Glenn, in the meaningful games, just off the charts.
Well, it's unheard of. I mean, it really is groundbreaking stuff. I mean, to be that good in the fourth quarter and just slam the door on the opponent. Been their trademark. Let's see.
Inside the 15, first and 10.
Saskatchewan's not going away.
They certainly are not. Rasheed Bailey on the carry. Bailey had a touchdown earlier in this game. But an 8-yard gain for Bailey.
Notice Bailey away from the ball, making a bunch of blocks for Andrew Harris. Now he gets a chance to carry the rock and a good gain around the edge on the fly sweep.
Puts the ball down to the 6-yard line of Saskatchewan. The last time Winnipeg had the ball, they drove down. Andrew Harris got the go-ahead touchdown. The Riders responded.
This is 33 time.
It certainly is. You'd expect it. There he is in behind Zach Collaros. Has the ball. The first down, and it'll be first and goal as he's taken down, but at the 1-yard line.
Good running backs get tackled forward. They really do. They get tackled going the way they want to go. With that forward downfield momentum, Andrew Harris does it again. He gets hit pretty good by Luchez Purifoy right at the line of scrimmage, but falls forward.
Collaros looking back at the Bomber bench. First and goal from the Rider 1. Collaros keeps himself. Zach Collaros, no signal yet. Second down and goal.
Sean McGuire might be hurt. This is short yardage time. As often Sean McGuire has been all season, I don't think he crossed the plane.
10th play of this drive is coming up as the Bombers look to retake the lead. With McGuire out there now. sideline.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
Looking to see if he broke the play.
Well, part of the problem is he's on top, falls on top of the ball. He's clearly down by contact. The ball does cross the white stripe, but is he down first? So he's down there, and I'm not sure the ball is crossed yet, and then he moves over and rolls into it. I'm not sure there's enough there to overturn.
You know, the Bombers would want to be careful about trying to reach that ball over the plane with a couple of fumbles in this game.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Second down.
So no touchdown yet for Winnipeg. They'll try again on the second and goal. Another big test for the Riders defensively, looking for a goal line stand. This drive has taken a lot of time off the clock. 6.5 minutes, getting near the halfway point of the fourth quarter. McGuire this time. Touchdown, Winnipeg. As the Bombers do retake the lead.
Boy, Sean McGuire had to grab the handle, didn't he? You never know in these conditions. And he double clutched it. Clearly crossing the plane and then some.
10 plays, 72 yards, over 6.5 minutes taken off the clock.
And a massive extra point right here. This is big.
Absolutely. 3-point difference right now. Sergio Castillo to make it more than a field goal, with McGuire holding after scoring that touchdown. Castillo, the All-Star from 2019, with the BC Lions a late ad for the Bombers to get that extra point. What a catch by Darvin Adams. Took up a big chunk of real estate. Got the Bombers close. They got it in the end zone, and they have the lead.
I might do it. So, this the audio, that's the video. You lucky as hell. You lucky. You lucky. You lucky.
Sit your ass down and watch the game. Watch the show.
Don't miss a new episode of CFL Wired, bringing you exclusive access, sights and sounds of the latest CFL football highlights Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on TSN. Lead changes, the latest, courtesy that man, Sean McGuire, in the short yardage, the keeper, with the conversion, a 4-point lead restored for Winnipeg.
We know what Jamar Morrow can do back there in the return game. This Winnipeg cover team has been solid all year long, led by Mike Miller.
So Castillo kicks off. And Morrow has it. And he's tripped up. Ball comes out, and the Riders appear to have it. Looks like Godfrey Onyeka alertly pounced on that ball after it was cocked up by Jamal Morrow. Nearly another turnover in this game. A near one there for Winnipeg. Rider football. Over to you, Cody. TSN hockey continues tonight with a Canadian clash as the Leafs are on the road. The face-off against the Jets right here in Winnipeg. Coverage beginning at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern on TSN's 3 and 4 in the Leafs and Jets region.
Led the league in special teams tackles again, and Mike Miller is in there to rip it out. And Jamal Morrow, almost a costly turnover. Saskatchewan jumps on it in a hurry.
And the last time after a Bomber touchdown, Cody Fajardo and the Riders responded with one of their own, but this drive begins with him under pressure and sacked yet again.
This was design quarterback draw from Jason Moss, the offensive coordinator. They throw all the receivers, 4 or 5 of them, to the wide side of the field to try and empty out the front 7. So they're going to get all these guys out here so that there's not many defenders for Cody Fajardo. If he can get past that first line, he's got a big game, but he doesn't. They collapse it.
So a loss of a few yards here, about 3. Second and 13. Saskatchewan 21. Quickly, Fajardo gets it away, and he completes it too, up across the 30.
Well, Craig Dickinson said, as I mentioned before, said he would think outside the box. But I think you got to give your defense a chance here. We'll see what he decides. He's going to punt it away.
Still with nearly 7 minutes to go. So
absolutely, I think you got certainly time. But he told us on the call that he might just go for it in a couple of these shorter third down opportunities. Not this time.
That was after the catch by Braden Lennius, left him a few yards shy. 3rd and 2. Corey Vedvik, the punter for Saskatchewan, and he gets a good one away to Denarian Grant, who takes it down at the 36 after a 43-yard punt. And Grant picks up about 6-7 yards on that return. So the Bombers get the ball back. The defense does its job. Winnipeg and Andrew Harris, they have the lead. And it's getting late in this Western Final. Andrew Harris missed a lot of time down the stretch because of a knee injury. Hasn't played since October. I'd say he looks pretty good right now, Glenn.
Yeah, fresh legs, 20 carries, 128 yards, and boy, he's really carved the Saskatchewan defense throughout the regular season. 175 yards rushing in 2 games in the regular season. He's over 100 here tonight, and they want to get back to him and try and grind the clock down here.
Their last drive, 10 plays, ate up over 6.5 minutes. We're down to the 6-minute mark left here in the 4th quarter. On the ground, 33. And limited to a couple of yards gain, getting it up at around just across the 45.
And Dion Lacey he basically cheated the run there. He just decided to step up in the line, whether it was called or not. And Jason Shivers can call run blitzes here, meaning getting the linebackers up on the line of scrimmage, and if they pass, it becomes a blitz. If they run, you're stopping the run. Watch 45 in the middle of your screen. He'll just cheat it. He'll hop up, step right up in there, and scrape to the hole.
And right at the end, you see Jonathan Woodard fall down. And he is the player still down for Saskatchewan. Just a limited 1 yard on that carry, so a second and long. Another look at what happened here.
Take a look at what happened in 99. There he is there. Oh, you see the leg. Lacey and the weight of Lacey and Andrew Harris on that left leg.
Great defensive ends for Saskatchewan. AC Leonard leading in sacks. Oh, Santa's leaving. What's this mean? Got a job to do?
He's handed out some presents and he's moving on. He's got to go host. Well, that's a little early yet, but
I'd say the Jets have a game coming up later on, but yeah, he wants to stick around and see how this finishes, doesn't he?
This is a throwing down, but you think about Andrew Harris. We showed you that graphic. He only has 1 catch here this evening. Real good out of the backfield, catching the ball as well.
And the Bombers are 14 of 19 in second down conversions, albeit a lot of them were a lot shorter than this. This is 2nd and 8 from the Winnipeg 45.
It's a freebie.
Flags down. Claris throws it off and completes it. First down yardage there for Drew Wolotarski. And another flag comes out late after the play in the Bomber backfield.
Lanier was penalized earlier in the game. Did he get another one?
Offside. Winnipeg. That penalty's declined. Major foul. Winnipeg. Major foul. Saskatchewan, both after the play. First down.
Andre Prue announcing an offside against Winnipeg. It was against Saskatchewan, which is why it was declined after the first down catch by Wolotarski.
Yeah, I think it was Saskatchewan offside. He called Winnipeg, but it was Saskatchewan offside. So we're just getting the explanation now. He just announced it.
So that 12-yard gain to Wolotarski counts. It's across midfield. It's at the 53. Clock ticking. 5:10 on it. The Bombers try to march down and seal a trip to Hamilton. And a Grey Cup rematch. Still lots of football left, though. Ryder D needs to hold him. Needs to stop Harris. Taking him down there is another Harris, Nigel Harris, who had an interception earlier in this game, but not before Andrew Harris had 6 more yards.
Great core strength, and again, Nigel Harris, who's 6'2", 230. I mean, he's a good run-stopping linebacker size-wise. He steps up, absorbs the hit, and then throws Harris for 2 extra yards.
You talked about Andrew Harris, too, and his knack of always going forward when he's taken down. And the good running backs can do that. Get even more. 2nd and 4. Harris, they do their job. Saskatchewan's defense prevents another Winnipeg first down.
Yeah, that was run blitz. That's what I was talking about with Jason Shivers calling to get not only his linebackers, but Luchez Purifoy, the safety, to come down, get into the box, and help out. Look at the players here. They got them all down in tight to make sure that all the gaps are shut down. Now, Harris has still been able to beat that at times, but this time they hold him short. Purifoy makes the tackle.
And so, a rear punting situation for Winnipeg. Mark Leggio still hasn't punted. The one time he lined up to punt, he didn't get it away, and they turned it over on downs. And Andrew Harris favoring his right hand. Z heads up. So Saskatchewan to get the ball back, deep in their own zone. Morrow's down at the Ryder 10. Leggio gets his first punt away in this game. As Morrow takes it after a 36-yard punt.
Great cover team.
And they knew he's dangerous, too, when he did to Calgary last week. A game breaker, 67-yard punt return touchdown for Morrow in that one.
Theodric Hansen, great cover team. Now Cody Fajardo, he's got time. Come on, possession.
It's where the Riders wanted to be. Having a chance in the fourth quarter against the team that's been the best in the CFL this year.
Legacy building drives. That's what these are.
He had a big one last week against Calgary. Here we go. From the Ryder 20. Pressure's coming, gets it away. It falls incomplete. The Will linebacker, Kyrie Wilson, was right on William Powell as the ball arrived, and it hits the turf.
Yeah, almost looked like they were trying to set up a screen to William Powell. Well defended.
3-minute warning. 1-score game. Saskatchewan down 4 with the ball. Grey Cup 108 is exactly 1 week away at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. The hometown Ticats, who won earlier in Toronto, will be there. Who will they face? Will it be Andrew Harris and the Bombers in a rematch of 19? Will it be the Saskatchewan Roughriders? Under 3 minutes to go, 2:49 on the clock here at IG Field. 2nd down and 10 for Cody Fajardo in Saskatchewan. From the 20. Gets away from the rush for a moment and gets it off to Braden Lenius. And another good job by Fajardo to salvage something out of it. They picked up a few yards, but it will be a 3rd down with 2:35 on the clock.
Punt team walked out on the field, and Craig Dickinson called him back. This time it's the Stove up the middle. The tackles did their job, kept Jefferson and Jeffcoat away from Fajardo. The Stove got to him. Comes down to this.
4-point lead Winnipeg. This could be it. 3rd and 4. is up.
Underthrown ball, and with a bad turf toe that almost kept him out of this game, Cody Fajardo asks Duke Williams to come back, and he pulls it off the turf. Did it touch the turf? Looks like he got
the previous play is under review by the command center.
Boy, he got his hands underneath it. But did the tip of that football touch the turf? This is going to be a tough one. Rule to catch on the field.
The Bombers certainly think that the turf helped out there. And Duke Williams, who is suffering from turf toe, who was questionable to play in this game.
You know,
that is so close.
Yeah, and the right hand is the key, because it looked like the right hand was cradled at the front of the ball, but was it the back tip touching? Is it enough to overturn it? That's the question, because it was ruled a catch.
Dealing with another matter with Duke Williams as he is slowly helped up and helped off the field. He had a big touchdown for Saskatchewan in a response drive earlier in this half. Great play after the catch to get it into the end zone.
Such a close call.
Well, they are reviewing it as Mike O'Shea put a challenge flag down. They're already reviewing the play.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Saskatchewan.
Bomber fans ringing out.
Well, you know what? If that was ruled not a catch, I think that would have stood as well. In other words, it was too close to overturn. O'Shea was tempted to throw it, and was there any possible offensive interference that he may have been looking at to possibly throw the challenge flag?
Obviously, he wanted to challenge something other than the catch.
Well, they already reviewed it. Yeah, they already reviewed that.
So just across midfield, a gain of 31. Riders, 2:03 on the clock, complete to Lenny's. Spins after the catch and picks up 6 yards. That was a third down one. The play before, though, a 3rd and 4, completed 31 yards to Duke Williams, who is an obvious pain at the sideline.
And has to sit out for 2 more plays. Training staff came out to get him.
Second and 4. Instead of tossing, he keeps it. Fajardo does, and Willie Jefferson wraps him up, and it's very close to another first down.
Oh, they're just so good at redirecting those 2 defensive ends. Jefferson at 250 pounds and 6'7", could defend William Powell on the pitch and also in time get to Cody Fajardo to hold him short. He played both of them.
3rd and 2. Going for it again. 1.5 minutes to go in the Western Final. Fajardo, as the whistle blows, the play dead.
Timeout, Saskatchewan. The timeout was called with 1:26 left on the clock. Please reset the game clock to 1:26.
And their last timeout, so they don't have a challenge either. They're not able to, should that need arise.
Yeah, you have to have a timeout to challenge, and that's Craig Dickinson's last. But I think it was one he had to call because it looked like offensively Saskatchewan wasn't quite sure. In fact, one receiver on the snap of the ball, even though it was blown dead, fell down. but the offensive line looked like they weren't sure what the play was. So I think it was a smart one to get it right. I mean, the game's on the line right here, third down.
You have to think this is it for Saskatchewan. They need the first down. Under a minute and a half to go. Handing off to Powell. Has the first down and more. Second straight third down conversion by that Rider offense inside the Winnipeg 40.
Now the clock's the enemy, and Cody Fajardo's got to get him lined up. Start calling it at the line of scrimmage. A real deep set for William Powell so he can get those pulling guards and LaFrance around to help in the blocking.
The Riders need a touchdown. They're down by 4. Barely a minute to go. Fajardo throwing to the right, and it is off the hands of his intended receiver. It'll be second down. Kean Schaefer-Baker, the target there for Fajardo.
Quick slant, had it, ball thrown right where it should have been, and just went through Schaefer-Baker's hands. Can't throw it any better.
Saskatchewan scrimmaging just inside the Winnipeg 39. A trip to Grey Cup 108 in Hamilton is on the line. Second down. To the right. Complete. McRoberts. Shy of a first down. Gets out of bounds. We have another third down try coming up here for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that was a good tackle on the outside by, I think it was DeAndre Alford, who makes the tackle here to force Cody Fajardo to try and convert another third down situation. Because it looked like McRoberts had the corner and could still be running if he doesn't make that hit.
Here we go again. Third down Riders, season on the line. They made the previous 2. About a minute to play. Fajardo throwing, and it's incomplete. Intended for Mitchell Picton. And the Bombers D breaks it up. And they start to celebrate a minute away with a 4-point lead. Nick Taylor gets in on Mitchell Picton.
Remember that catch by Duke Williams right after the Bombers had taken a 4-point lead. Duke Williams caught that wide field out and went and scored with it. It was Nick Taylor that undercut that, missed the tackle, and allowed Saskatchewan to get back up and take the lead. It's Nick Taylor who makes the play that sends the Bombers to the Grey Cup Championship.
And on a game of significant turnovers, many that went the Riders' way, that one is the biggest turnover of all. A turnover on downs that it would appear will be sending Mike O'Shea and the Bombers to Hamilton. Still a minute on the clock.
Got to tackle the ball here now if you're Saskatchewan. Try and rip it out.
To Dembski. First down, and a helmet rolls away of Dembski, but he held on to the ball. And he starts to celebrate.
And that should do it. Craig Dickinson can't stop the clock again.
How good does that first down feel for Dembski, who looked like he had the first touchdown of this game, only to see it intercepted?
All the focus on 33, and this time Buck Pierce says, let's give the fly sweep to Dembski, 15-yarder, and should seal the deal.
Winnipeg lost the turnover battle, but that doesn't matter now. Willie Jefferson celebrating with the fans as they can just down it now and get ready for a trip for a Grey Cup rematch. 2 years ago in Calgary, the Bombers beat the Ticats 33-12 to end a long drought that went back to 1990.
What a bizarre football game, an entertaining football game. Boy, tonight.
Did they ever?
Full credit to Saskatchewan, who pushed them right to the brink.
Absolutely. The Riders made it tough. Seconds still on the clock. As the fans are on their feet here at IG Field. With only one game remaining after this. Grey Cup 108. Winnipeg's mission, get back. And the defending champions have. A Grey Cup rematch is coming up in Hamilton in 1 week's time. Winnipeg beats Saskatchewan in the Western Final. We'll get ready to face the Hamilton Tiger Cats again.
An outstanding effort by the Riders. The 5 first-half turnovers and the lead at halftime pushed the best team in the league, the heavily favored Bombers, right to the brink. They had to earn it. But fittingly, it was their defense in the fourth quarter that stepped up and made the key play to seal the deal.
For that final turnover on downs and Nick Taylor on Mitchell Picton to end the hope for Saskatchewan. But you're right about the Riders. Took full advantage, forced some of those turnovers certainly, and they actually led by a field goal heading into the fourth quarter and put the Bombers in a territory that they really weren't used to. Definitely challenged them.
How about that guy? 50 days without really even practicing. Trying to get off the injured list. A game day decision for Michael O'Shea and Andrew Harris. Wow, just a difference maker, not only with his yards, but just his leadership and just the vibe and the karma that he brings to the huddle. The guys just say, oh, he's back. Our guy is back when 33 gets back in the huddle.
23 carries, 136 yards and a touchdown. And just watching this scene, even though we're not there yet, is reminiscent of the kind of vibes and energy and happiness that he had back in Calgary in 2019 when they upset, at the time, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who were favored in that Grey Cup. You saw Michael O'Shea earlier, Adam Bighill there. O'Shea played in the last Grey Cup that was in Hamilton 25 years ago. He was with the Argos. But what a day for Andrew Harris, who's standing by with Sarah Orlesky.
Andrew, you've been in these situations before, but each one is different. Describe this one for me.
I mean, it was uphill battle. We get the ball away a bunch in the first half there, and our defense flexed up in the second half, and we were able to control line of scrimmage with the run game. It was just a gutty win, and proud of my team.
What does it say about this group to be able to overcome that adversity? Because even though a veteran group, it wasn't something that you guys had faced a lot this season.
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, haven't had a meaningful game in a while. You got to give credit to Saskatchewan. They played tough tonight, and our fans were amazing tonight. It was an amazing win, and we just got to build off this and looking forward to the Grey Cup now.
For you, 136 yards on the ground. I mean, we didn't even know until today whether or not you would be playing. Was there any doubt in your mind that you would be in this?
It was all the coach's decision. All the coach's decision and our training staff. And again, just happy to be able to come in and contribute.
Finally, rematch of 2019 the Grey Cup going up against Hamilton. What are you looking forward to most?
Just being in the Cup again, man. Looking forward to that's a great team in Hamilton, and we got to get ready for them.
Congratulations, Andrew.
Thank you.
2021, the comeback season after a lost season last year, and it will end the way it started. It started with Hamilton taking on Winnipeg in a Grey Cup rematch. We'll have the true rematch coming up, and this time Hamilton will be right at home. Interesting to see the way it all plays out again for a Winnipeg team that looked better than their championship year in 2019.
Well, just an outstanding effort again, and that defense held in there because it could easily have been a big lead for Saskatchewan in the first half with 5 turnovers, and Willie Jefferson, Jackson, Jeff Coate, They did their jobs just to maintain a one-possession game, even though they were giving the ball away a ton in the first half, taking turns doing so. But the leadership on defense stood up. It was a three-point game, so not too much damage done, and then made the play at the end of the game.
The West Division champions, and a trophy presentation coming up as we send it down to James Duffy.
All right, thank you, Rod. Winnipeg, 2 years ago, this team was presented the Western Division Championship in Regina, and then the Grey Cup in Calgary. It's time for a championship at home. Your West Division champions, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jake Thomas and Pat Neufeld, the captains. Mike O'Shea wanted you to accept this. I know no one's touching the trophy. You've decided not to do that. You've both been here for 9 years. It's been a long 2 years with the canceled season, the restrictions this year. What does this mean to go back to the Grey Cup?
You know, it's huge. This has been our goal since day one to get back to the Grey Cup. And, you know, we're not done yet. Our focus is all on next week.
Pat, this wasn't your most dominant or prettiest victory. What does it say about this team to overcome all those turnovers and win?
We're resilient. We're a team that loves each other. We go out there and show it every play we can, and it's just a brotherhood. So we're excited for another opportunity and another week together.
Best of luck in Hamilton.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, I don't touch.
The Western champion, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The celebration on here in Winnipeg. Let's go back down to Sarah Oleski with Jackson Jeffco.
Thank you, Rod. Jackson, how different does this one feel than what you guys accomplished in 2019?
Man, it's a battle. Like, we said this is what we want to do. It's a new year. We want to get it done with a new group. It's sweet. It feels good. But again, we're not finished.
What was said at the half, or what were the emotions in the room? Because that was a half in which obviously didn't go the way that the Bombers were looking.
It's a pretty calm locker room. We've been here. We've done this before. We knew that what we could do. We just said, let's go out and play our game, our style of ball.
When you go next week to Hamilton, a rematch of 2019, but the Grey Cup is obviously played in Hamilton, their home field. But what are you looking forward to most?
You gotta love it. We're going into their home. They're gonna have it. It's the home field advantage. We love that shit. We get to be, excuse me for cussing, but we get to be underdogs again. We get to come show them what we can do. I'm excited to be out there. I can't wait.
And to be able to get the West Division and get your trip to the Grey Cup, but in front of these fans, you guys have been undefeated at IG Field this season. What was it like to be able to do this for this group?
We got the best fans in Canada. We got the best fans. They come out loud. They support us in everything we do. It's amazing. So to win in front of these guys, for Winnipeg, it's special. It's real special.
Congratulations, Jackson.
To think of the way the season started back on August the 5th, the late start with Hamilton here in Winnipeg, and it was a 19-6 victory for the Blue Bombers, who beat the Ticats in the Grey Cup a couple of years ago. A long time coming, but an intriguing matchup at Tim Hortons Field.
You know, that one win against Hamilton was the first game of the season for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the regular season.
Let's go back to Sarah with Zach Calero. Sarah?
Thank you, Rod. Zach and I are both very cold, so wanting to get through this. Zach, when you look at this, the adversity that this group faced, when was the last time you were a part of a game like what we just saw today?
I don't know, but it's amazing to get the win. It really shouldn't have been that close. You know, we gained a bunch of points the first half, and our defense kept us in it, and we finished there at the end.
You're understanding right now what it's like to be a sideline reporter in this.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it.
When you look at what was said at the half for this group, obviously the 5 turnovers, something that this team had to overcome.
You know, we always say to win the half as a team, you know, and they were trying some dirty stuff there the first half, so really to keep our cool, know that we're the better football team and go out there and execute. Sorry about that. And you know, I thought we had a lot of plays to be made there. We were making some of them, fumbling, interception, tip, you know, those things, and just keep going, keep our head down, keep fighting. That's what happened.
Some big catches from your
Your thoughts, though, Glenn, on this Grey Cup?
Well, I just think both teams have, evolved throughout the season. They've met each other in the regular season. Winnipeg won that game, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats are a very different team now than they were back then. And they're playing at home in front of their home crowd. So, it's going to be a different scenario, different situation, but this has been the best team in the league from start to finish, wire to wire. Let's see if they can finish it in the Grey Cup. The Hamilton Tiger Cats may have something to say about that.
Yeah, I'm sure the Tiger Cats would love to spoil it for the Bombers after they felt after a 15-3 season in 2019. The Bombers spoiled it for them, but celebration's going to continue for a while here, I am sure. Winnipeg, the best all season long. The Riders made it so interesting with all the turnovers. They led at the half. They led heading into the fourth quarter. But Winnipeg found a way. Rematch. Grey Cup 108. Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. Bombers, Ticats. Thank you for watching the division finals on TSN. Have a great night.